Picture two people, same job, same $80,000 salary, same city, same age, 32. At 62, one of them retires, comfortably. The other is still working. And not because they earned less, not because they picked the wrong stocks, but because of one number that most Americans never think about in this specific way. Not their salary, not their investment returns, their savings rate. And here's what makes this worse. Most people have no idea what their actual savings rate is right now. They have a rough feeling. They know if it feels okay or feels tight. But the actual number, the percentage, almost nobody knows it. And that number is the single biggest lever you have over when your working life ends. Today, I'm giving you the complete savings rate table, the math that shows you exactly how many years of work each percentage point buys you or costs you. And by the end of this, you'll know two things: where you stand right now, and what it would take to change your timeline by a decade.
My name is Joey, and on this channel, I want to teach you how to save, invest, use, and grow your money so you can have more freedom and retire earlier without depending on the government. Subscribe to the channel and like this video. Let me show you the number first. The average American personal savings rate right now sits between 3 and 5% of income. That's not a rough month. That's not a bad quarter. That's the average. The sustained multi-year Bureau of Economic Analysis tracked average for the past decade. What does 4% actually mean in practice? If you earn $80,000 a year and save 4%, you are putting away $3,200 a year. You're spending $76,800. That $76,800 is your lifestyle cost. It's the number your retirement account has to replace before you can stop working. Now, here's where most people's understanding of retirement completely breaks down.
Most people think about retirement as a fixed number. I need $1 million, or I need $2 million, or as a fixed age, 65, because that's when Social Security kicks in. Neither of those is the right frame. The right frame is a ratio, the relationship between what you spend and what you've saved, because that ratio, and only that ratio, determines when you can stop working. At 4% savings rate, that ratio implies you need approximately 60 to 65 years of working life to accumulate enough to cover your lifestyle. Not from 22 to 65, from the moment you start until you are physically unable to continue. Think about what that actually means. If you're currently saving 4% of your income, the math says you will never retire in any traditional sense. You will work until your body stops, your employer lets you go, or the government starts sending you Social Security checks that barely cover your fixed costs. That is the real cost of a 4% savings rate. Not retiring a bit late, permanent, lifelong dependency on income. And the uncomfortable truth is that most Americans are on that path right now and don't know it. Let me show you the table that changes this. There is a framework that came out of the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early, and it's built on a piece of math that is simple, transparent, and completely verifiable. You don't need to take my word for any of it. The insight is this: your savings rate controls both sides of the retirement equation simultaneously. Side 1. The higher your savings rate, the more you accumulate every year. Side 2. The higher your savings rate, the less you spend, which means the amount of money you need to replace your lifestyle gets smaller.
Both levers move together. That's why savings rate has a disproportionate, almost exponential effect on how long you have to work. It's not a linear relationship. It's compounding from both directions. Here's the full table, assuming a 7% average annual return, the historical inflation-adjusted average of the S&P 500. At 5% savings rate, approximately 66 years to financial independence. At 10%, roughly 46 years. At 15%, about 43 years. Still a full career. At 20%, approximately 37 years. Starting to move. At 25%, around 32 years. If you start at 25, you're done at 57. At 30%, around 28 years. Start at 25, retire at 53. At 40%, about 22 years. Start at 25, free at 47. At 50%, roughly 17 years. Start at 25, out at 42. At 65%, about 10 years. Start at 25, free at 35. Look at the jump between 5% and 30%. Same income, same investments, same 7% return. The difference is not 6x. The difference is 38 years of your life.
Now, look at the jump from 15% to 30%. You doubled your savings rate, and you cut 15 years off your working life. 15 years! That is more than some people's entire concept of retirement. This is the table that financial advisors don't put in front of you, because it removes the complexity. It doesn't require products, it doesn't require management fees. It requires one number, your savings rate, and a decision about what you're willing to trade for time. Here's the other thing this table tells you. Your salary matters far less than you think. A person earning $50,000 a year with a 40% savings rate, that's $20,000 a year saved, will reach financial independence in about 22 years. A person earning $150,000 a year with a 5% savings rate, that's $7,500 saved, is on a 66-year plan. The 50K earner is done at 47. The 150K earner is still at the office at 71. More income does not solve the problem. The savings rate is the problem.
So why doesn't everyone just save 30% or 40%? If the math is this clear, why isn't it universal? Here's the honest answer. Spending is visible, and accumulation is invisible. When you spend $800 on a couch, you have the couch. It is real. It sits in your apartment. People see it. You use it every day. The cost is gone, but the thing remains. When you invest that $800, you have a number that changes on a screen. For 20 years, that decision will be entirely invisible. Nothing will look or feel different. And then, around year 15 or 20, the compounding kicks in. And that $800 becomes something that changes the trajectory of your working life. But you won't see that coming if you haven't been watching. This is called hyperbolic discounting, the psychological tendency to value immediate rewards dramatically more than delayed ones. It's not a character flaw. It's how human brains are wired. We evolved to prioritize what's in front of us. The couch is always going to feel more real than the compound interest chart.
But here's the cognitive reframe that people in the FIRE community figured out. The one that makes a 40% savings rate feel sustainable instead of punishing. Your savings rate is not a sacrifice. It is the price of time. When you raise your savings rate by 5 percentage points, you are not tightening your budget. You are purchasing years of your life, roughly 4 to 5 years off your working timeline, depending on where you are on the curve. Now, ask yourself, what would you pay for 5 extra years? 5 years to travel, to be present with your family, to work on what you actually want to build, to not answer to a calendar someone else controls? Most people would pay a lot for that. The savings rate table shows you exactly what it costs, and the answer is almost always less than you think.
Here's how to act on this today. 3 steps. Step 1, find your actual savings rate. Not a rough estimate, the real number from last month. Take everything you saved, your 401k contribution, any Roth IRA transfer, any brokerage deposit, any cash savings account deposit. Add those up, divide by your gross monthly income, multiply by 100. That is your current savings rate, and therefore your current retirement timeline setting. Most people who do this for the first time land between 5 and 12%. Now you know where you are on the table. Step 2, decide where you want to be. You don't have to commit to 50%. Look at the table and pick a retirement timeline that feels real to you, that you'd actually want. Find the savings rate that produces it. That's your target. If you want to stop working by 55 and you start at 30, you need roughly 25 years. That's a 25 to 30% savings rate. What would that actually look like in your budget? What 1 or 2 changes would get you there over the next year?
Step 3, automate the gap. The most powerful behavioral tool in personal finance is pre-commitment. Money you never see, you never spend. Your 401k already works this way. It comes out before the paycheck hits your account. Your goal is to replicate that for the rest of your savings target. Set up an automatic transfer on payday. Not on the 15th, not when I remember, on payday. Whatever doesn't go to 401k goes to your brokerage or high-yield savings account before your brain registers that the money exists. You don't need discipline to do this. You need one 15-minute bank setup. The transfer runs every 2 weeks, the savings rate goes up, the retirement timeline moves.
Start with a 3 to 5 percentage point increase. Run it for 90 days without adjusting. Then evaluate. In most cases, you won't notice the difference in your lifestyle because the money was never visible in your checking account, but you will notice the difference on your timeline. Your salary didn't decide when you retire. Your savings rate did. The good news is that this is the most actionable number in your financial life. You can't negotiate your investment returns. You can't control the market, but you can absolutely change what percentage of your income you keep, starting with the next paycheck. Run your actual savings rate after this video. Not a guess, the real number from last month's data. Then look at where you are on the timeline table. That number should either give you confidence or give you urgency, and both of those are useful. Subscribe to the channel. Every week we break down the real math behind money, the kind that tells you exactly where you stand and exactly what it takes to change it. Next video, how to build an automated investing system that raises your savings rate without requiring you to think about it every month. Everything runs in the background. I'll see you there.